Welcome back to Jill Snodgrass channel. Sorry for the last couple of days. We had some roofers working on that roof, so I was kind of challenged to try to get a video. So today we are going to talk about climate change, but I also want to talk about a couple of other topics. I'm going to talk about some of the stuff that's going on with the government and things that are going on in there. But then I also want to talk about being ready or being prepared, as some people call it, especially from a Christian perspective. So climate change is something that occurs naturally within our history. It's the history of this planet. The climate has always changed. Back in the earlier part of planet Earth, there was a Pangea state in which there was no ice. It was all one landmass, and then the tectonics kicked in. There's some talk about why that is. I personally wonder if it has something to do with the Tower of Babel, but that maybe predated that. But anyway, so there was a point in time in which there was no ice age, there was no glaciers, there was no people, so for a long time. So when the government starts to tell us that we are the reason that the climate is changing and that we are the reason that we have to change our behavior in order to save the planet, if you will, that sends up red flags for me. Because first off, I believe that we should be good stewards of the planet. I don't by any means or necessarily say that we need to, just continue to waste the resources, the natural resources that our planet offers. That's not what I'm saying. I do believe that we should be good stewards, that we should take care of the planet, take care of each other, be responsible, have integrity, which we've talked about before. But in my opinion, there are two factions within the government. There's a good faction and then there's a bad faction, evil faction, if you will. Okay, the Bible says that Satan, Lucifer, whatever you want to call him, is the fallen angel and is the father of lies and has dominion currently over the planet Earth. I believe that. There's so many things that's happened that I don't know how you can't not believe it. So, and for those of you that may or may not believe it, that's totally fine. That's what being part of the United States is all about. That's why I joined the military. Is we have the right to believe what we want to believe. Okay, that's our choice. And when those choices are taken away or suppressed, that's not something that we should willingly give up. Okay, most of my family has been in the military. I can't speak for why they joined, but I can speak for why I joined. And I joined to defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. I spent 25 years, pretty much half of my life to date. Okay, a little less, a little over 50 now, but that's something that we each have the choice to decide what we're going to do. Okay, so when folks start telling us about climate change, and when Al Gore came out with that Inconvenient Truth movie and book and all that stuff, the first red flag that came up to me was that all of these CO2 readings were taken in the Pacific. As a student of geology, I know that the Pacific area is called the Ring of Fire. And it's called the Ring of Fire because the entire Pacific Ocean is surrounded by volcanoes. The last I checked on the amount of volcanoes going off, there were 24, which is down from 27 that were actually erupting just a couple of days before that. There's, I don't know, 30 or 40 that are spewing stuff, not necessarily erupting with lava / magma, but they are dispensing the gases that come out of there, CO2, all those things. So any reading that you take in there is going to be suspect because of all of the carbon dioxide that's being put in. The thing about CO2, in case you don't know, so how the sun warms the earth is a process called the greenhouse effect, in which the sun's rays come down, hit the earth, and then are bounced back into the atmosphere. The particles, the gases that are within the atmosphere, then reflect that energy back down, and that's that bouncing back and forth that creates the heat within the planet. So all of the gases, which includes water vapor, methane, and all the other ones, all have the same effect. The problem is, if you're a government agency trying to scare the people or trying to control the people, only CO2 is the one that can really be laid at the feet of the people, okay, because of the cars, the pollution, and people hear it and they say, oh, we're doing such bad things and now we've got to fix it. We got to quit doing this, we got to quit doing that. Yes, but not because of that, because it's the right thing to do, because that's what being a good steward is. There's also rument that there have been technologies developed in which vehicles can drive that do not require fossil fuel. So, and these are supposedly being suppressed by, the oil companies and other agencies that don't want this technology to get out. Now, I have seen, videos, read articles, about being able to create free energy, electricity. There's some YouTube videos that I was watching the other day that are kind of interesting that I want to check out. But I don't know. I know that there are folks that are trying to suppress us. There are people trying to control us. There is a movement for the New World Order. The New World Order is what I believe is the part of the Bible that talks about where, we all become one thing just before the Antichrist stuff shows up. So I know that stuff is there. I believe that with all my heart. The Bible talks about it. If you go onto YouTube, you see a lot of different videos from different organizations that are talking about different events that are supposed to be coming together. I don't know which, or if all of them are true, if they're all talking about the same thing. I can't tell you that. But what I can tell you is that climate change is a natural event, that we do need to be good stewards, but taxing CO2 is not it's not part of the plan. That's not part of what should be going down, because that's just another mechanism of control by the governments, by the world governments. Okay, so, and I know that there's probably going to be folks out there telling me that I'm smoking something and that I'm crazy or whatever, and that's fine. Again, as I say, that is your right. You have the right to make your own choices, your own decisions. I'm not trying to tell you my way's right and yours way's wrong. I don't know, but this is what I believe. This is what I think is what's going down. So dealing with climate change, because the climates are changing, droughts are coming in. We discussed earlier that the tornado alley is moving farther east. Droughts have been going through. Australia has been hammered by hail balls the size of tennis balls. Saudi Arabia, desert, has been receiving a lot of hail and a lot of flooding. So the climate has changed and it will continue to change. There's a lot of earthquakes going on right now. There's different faults that are where the plates are actually going under. Cascadia is one. New York's starting to have a few. There's a big fault under New York City that's way past overdue. Yellowstone's been having a lot of tremors and quakes and things going on. So the plates are moving. The plates have been moving and will continue to move. Okay. Now, do I believe that tomorrow that everything's going to blow up? No, I don't. I know it will at some point in time, whether it's my lifetime, my grandkids' lifetime, or my great-great-grandkids, which I don't even have yet. Well, not that I know of anyway. So the thing that we need to think about, and tying this all into what's going on. So we talked about our responsibility to be ready and some of these other things lately. But when we decide, so we have a decision to make. Every day we make a decision. Are we going to be and take responsibility for our own actions, or are we going to pawn those off on somebody else and pass the buck? Basically, that's what it boils down to. Okay, climate change is every one of our responsibility. Okay, it's not the government's job to enforce and put these laws into place that say we've got to do this and we can't do that because of this. That's not going to change the outcome. Okay, what will change the outcome is when we collectively work together to make this planet a better place. Now, that is absolutely our responsibility. And it's our job to do that. So it's the same as it's our job to be ready in case of an emergency, whatever that emergency may be. Flat tire on the way home from work or from the grocery store, to something has hit the fan and the world has ended as we know it. Whatever that thing is, whatever that event is our responsibility to take care of. Okay? It's not somebody else's responsibility to take care of us. So when we take the responsibility, we take back the power and we quit giving it to others. For so long we have passed the buck. We say, well, we'll do this for security. This will make us more safer. This will make us more safer. Well, it ain't. Crime is rising. Bad things are still happening. Natural disasters are still happening. Human influence disasters are still happening. There's a lot of conspiracy as to what's going on with all that, but they happen. So what are we going to do, or what can we do? Well, what we can do is we can start by taking responsibility for ourselves. Okay? Don't wait on somebody else to come and save you. It's just like that joke that I think I've told before, about the guy on the roof during the flood. boat comes by, he says, no, I'm waiting on God. Helicopter comes by, says, nope, I'm waiting on God. And the canoe guy come by, nope, I'm waiting on God. He gets to heaven and says, hey, what's going on? Why didn't you save me? And it's like, so Peter says, hey, I sent you a boat, a plane, or a boat, a helicopter, and a canoe. What else do you want? It's the same with this. You have the ability to take care of yourself. Okay? Now, the way that you do that is you start to learn the things that you would need to do to take care of yourself. Natural disasters, short term, probably only need to have X amount of food. But if you're talking like a serious, something has hit the fan kind of scenario, something like what's in my book, Return to Life, you're going to have to learn to make things on your own. And you're going to have to learn that, you're going to have to start making your own clothes, your own shoes, your own weapons, your own, grow your own food, raise your own food. You're going to have to be able to build your own shelters. And basically everything that it's basically like going back to our pioneer days, like our, great grandparents and stuff used to do. So, we've become so reliant on so many different things. Electricity is one, and I mean, don't get me wrong, I love electricity. I like to play games on my computer and stuff just as much as probably anybody. I like to watch movies and stuff. But there can be a time, and it's looking like it may be closer than we think, when, we are not going to have electricity. So all of these security devices, all of these security measures, all of these Alexas and all these other things are not going to work. If we get hit by an EMP or a CME, then, our vehicles won't run. And I mean, I don't know about most folks, but most folks probably can't walk 2 blocks without puffing like a steam locomotive. So we have to think about these things and get ourselves ready for whatever's going to happen. Okay. Being prepared is being ready or being prepared is it's not conspiracy. It's not crazy. It's a wise decision because, even in the Bible, there's a story about Joseph when he was in Egypt as a prisoner, and the dude had the dream of the 7 lean cows and then the 2 thin cows and what was going on. And Joseph interpreted the dream with God's input and said, hey, there's going to be 7 years of abundance, and then there's going to be 7 years of famine. Okay, so we have there, the presidents is there to do, to put away, to store stuff for a time of need. That's what we're talking about here. So, right now we start to put stuff up, we start to put stuff back. It's like I've said before, and I know a lot of other people who talk about being prepped talk about, you go to the store and you buy 2 cans of green beans. You put 1 back and you have 1 in your shelf. And you do that over a period of time. And, eventually you have several months, even years worth of food, and then you just rotate this food out. So it's not crazy. If you are somebody who is doing this, you're not crazy. The folks that are not doing it are crazy. They're the ones being irresponsible because when something happens, and it's not a question of if, it's when. Something is always happening, and we see more and more, even mainstream media news talks about some of these things now. We're starting to see more and more natural disasters. 2017 was probably one of the worst ones on record. 2018 is looking like it's going to be a pretty close second, if not beat it. So the problem is people say, well, that's never happened here. Well, you know what? There was a tornado in Port Orchard, Washington. Never been a tornado there before either, according to some of the folks that I've listened to. Just because it has never happened does not mean it will not happen. So you can do what you want, but if you're listening to this, then I pray that you are somebody who is responsible and is interested in being ready so that when something does happen, you will not be caught off guard. Even in the Bible, it talks about being ready for the wedding, right? All the virgins had the oil in their lamps, and they wasted it. So, we should not be found wanting. We need to be ready so that when something happens, we will be ready for it. Okay. A couple of other things that I wanted to talk about is standing fast. We need to stand fast. We need to be ready so that, as a Christian, we believe that Christ is coming back. Now, do I believe that'll happen tomorrow? I don't know. You have folks that believe in pre-trib, mid-trib, and post-trib. I don't know exactly when that's going to be. When the Christians are taken off and go to meet Jesus in heaven. But I don't want to find out that it's a post-trib situation and I'm not ready for it. Okay? I'm ready for the trib to come. I'm ready for all of this nonsense to be over with, and we start our new chapter of living with Jesus. But having, everybody gets caught up on when and what stuff is. Bible tells us that we don't know. I mean, even Jesus didn't say that he didn't know. So if he didn't know, or he wasn't saying, but if he didn't know, then I'm sure nobody else does. Okay. And there's a lot of folks out there that say, oh yeah, it's going to be this, it's going to be that, it's going to be, we don't have to worry about that. Yeah, okay. Let me know how that works out for you. Because if something happens that's that serious, it's not going to be fun. It's not going to be pleasant. I'm not trying to scare you. If you've listened to any of these videos, or if this is your first one, welcome. But my deal is not to scare the pants off of people. I don't want you to be afraid. In fact, that's the whole point of these things. My philosophy is, if you know what to expect, then there's no reason to be ready or be afraid, because you can then plan, which is a written plan, for that event and be ready for it. And if it happens, fine. You know it. Plan for the worst, pray for the best. If I plan for the worst possible event that I could face, and I'm ready for that event, if that event happens, what changed? Nothing. That's what I was planning for in the first place. If it's something that's less than that, I'm still ready, because I was prepared for the worst possible thing that could happen. So don't be discouraged. Don't think you're crazy. And if you have folks that are around you that are not into the prepping thing or being ready thing, that's fine. Don't argue with them, and they're probably not going to change their mind. And all you're going to do is build up tension between the two of you. It's their decision. It's their choice. But then it will be your choice of whether or not that you're going to help them later when the time comes. And if that is your decision, then that's part of what you need to plan for. Okay. In the book Return to Life, there's the original plan was just to basically take care of the ranch. But then over time, others either heard of them or they found them, and then they came in. And not everybody was allowed to come in because the philosophy of the community was not the philosophy of everybody that was coming in. So it's not going to be easy. I'm not going to lie to you. It isn't. It's going to be hard. There's going to have to be some sacrifices given on both sides. So, we're going to have to change our perceptions. We're going to have to change our expectations. The ones that are going to be hit the hardest are the ones that are the richest right now, because a lot of these rich folks don't know how to do anything. And if they don't have somebody that's doing it for them, they're not going to know what to do. So I beg you not to be that kind of a person. Even if you have a lot of money, you still need to do these things on your own. You need to learn how to gather food, hunt food, find food, grow food, build your own shelter, find water, purify water, store water. All of these different things you're going to need to do, and you're going to need to know how to do them. And learning to do them, it's a little bit more than just checking out a YouTube. There's a lot of information, a lot of good YouTubes out there, but you really need hands-on. You need to get out in the bush and you need to start doing this stuff. I know that I've talked to some folks on Facebook, and they've said, that they've killed the power, and they've tried, to do this. That's excellent. That's part of that rehearsal, because I'm telling you, there's a lot of folks out there that if they can't use their phone, they're nuts. They're going to go out of their mind. And if something happens, those things will probably go away. You won't be able to use the phones. So you need to have alternative means of communication with other people. So anyway, that's the deal. So climate change is something that occurs naturally, that is, the human's ability to influence the environment is a real thing, but not to the point that we are going to drastically change everything that's going on. Okay, the cycle is the cycle, and it's going to happen. There's a lot of other things that are going on. So one of the things that we're going to talk about is the magnetic pole shifting. I want to talk about that tomorrow. So, and then we're going to try to tie all of this stuff together. But get ready, physically, mentally, and spiritually, for the different changes that are going on. Okay, I don't know what tomorrow brings. That's not in my bag of tricks. I do know that anytime a natural or human influenced disaster can come calling, and when it does, I want to be ready for it so that I can take care of my family, my friends, but I can also maybe help some of those that are around me. Okay, so that's my goal. If you do not have a written emergency readiness plan, I beg you to get one. If you need help, contact me. I want to help, but I will not force my help on anybody. So um, contact me, Guy at greatlivingsources.com. You can visit my website. I have blogs and I have other information on there. It's still a working mess, but there's a lot of information there that hopefully can help you. The website is greatlivingsources.com. You have my YouTube, GL Snodgrass, Facebook. I have GL Skye, which is my Facebook page for my author, for my books. And the Great Living Sources is the Facebook page for basically the readiness kinds of survival stuff. So however you do it, whatever you decide to do, I beg that you start today. I think that the events are coming to a head that are going to impact a lot of us, all of us. So if you're not ready, you need to get ready now. Okay? So I thank you for stopping by. Leave your comments. Subscribe if you like these, enjoy these videos, or like to see the one they come out. And share them with others. Let others know what's going on, and let's start to build a community in which we can all help each other and help our planet. All right. Thank you.